you're fine.
I'm sorry, guys. No one's gonna see what I just did. But OBS hates me, and none of the audio capture for the first, 5 minutes. But at least we got our talking points out to a certain point, so we're now...
Okay, great.
Yeah, okay, so introduce yourself again. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. So I'm Neuro. I'm a new writer for Jinx TV, new freelance writer. And I started self-publishing in November of last year. And about 2 weeks into it, I got somebody from Jinx saw my writing and really wanted to see more of it. And then I started writing.
How long have you been actually into League of Legends and or watching competitive League?
Since 2017.
Okay, so when did you ever, get into League of Legends in general?
About 2017, that was about the same time.
Okay, do you actually play?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you're like one of those support mains where they just flame everybody. Oh my god, my team sucks.
Well, I actually used to be AD carry main. Ashe is my queen. But I actually did move to support recently. Dash has his own Discord. It's called Dashcord. I think he probably has a link on his Twitter page. And we had a Dashcord tourney, and a lot of people, came out, and a lot of people were in teams. And I was playing AD carry, but it just kind of, with the team synergy, we just kind of ended up switching me to support to see how that would work. And it just ended up with me being better. But I'm not a typical, I don't play a bunch of Janna and stuff like that. I mean, I'm really good with mage supports, but I like to be aggressive and I like to be active. And if I have an AD carry that likes to be active as well, that kind of helps me be aggressive too. I'm not just going to stand in the background.
So who is your team? Who do you support, or do you just enjoy the scene just to enjoy the scene?
It's going to be Cloud9 first.
Oh my goodness.
I fell in love with Cloud9 right from the beginning when I first started watching, and it just it's always been there. I've always been a huge fan of Cloud9. I do cheer for Team Liquid occasionally, especially now with Brox. I've really liked him from Fnatic. I'm also a G2 fan. And then outside of that, I just really like to see good teams play games. I like to see good plays. Obviously, if they're playing them against C9, I'm going to be a little upset. But I like to see teams play. I like to see good games.
Yeah, because everybody knows that I'm a G2 and C9 fan, so it was hell last year seeing them in the exact same group. I'm like, no, Riot, what are you doing? G2 is so much better than Cloud. Now they're going to destroy them. And then they actually did destroy them. It was not even close.
Yeah, C9 they weren't the team that went to semifinals the year before. And that was really disappointing.
So, what made you choose to be a C9 fan in general when you first saw them?
I think it was, at first, since I didn't know too much about the game, I think it was just watching them play. And just kind of watching their, they're kind of memey, and I really enjoy that. I like humor being brought into my everyday life, which is precisely why I made the point on Hotline League about how the LEC was doing so much better in content, because I love to laugh. I love to have a good time. And so when you can make me do that, and when you can bring that kind of humor into this kind of industry, I really love that. I want to see people making fun and having a good time, because it's okay. You want to be competitive, and that's perfectly fine. I'm very competitive myself, but I like humor. And so when I saw that from C9, that was kind of a thing. And then as I started learning the game and watching them play, especially this split, I mean, they've just been amazing.
Because you said you started watching in 2017. That means the roster was Impact, Contracts, Jensen, Sneaky, and Smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Jensen did his good old Zhonya play that everybody loves to just flame him for.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, that year when SKT played up against Longshoes, what they were called back then, Faker did the exact same thing that Jensen did in one of their games. He didn't hit Zhonya on Echo, and then the Twitch chat, they're like, oh my god, SKT Jensen. I was like, oh my god. It was the most funniest shit ever. Faker was like, I forgot to hit on Twitter. I think he posted, because if you translate it into English, he's like, sorry guys, I forgot to hit Zonya's in that game. I was like, oh, and he put at Jensen. Oh my god.
Wow.
So fun.
See, and I like that. I don't mind just kind of making fun of one another and memeing, because it as long as it's all in good fun, I think that I really I think that that's perfectly fine and it's enjoyable about the game because, everyone makes mistakes. So if you can joke about that, then I think that's great.
Right? Because people nowadays are like, sorry to my viewers are not sensitive because I always like, no, you're being here, you're gonna have to have some tough skin because I'll say the thing you might not like, and people are really sensitive. And the issue with like trash talk is I don't understand why people get so angry about it. I actually do, but I'll ask you, why do you think people get so angry at trash talk? Do you think it's just like gamer culture just doesn't really mesh well with that type of thing?
I think it just kind of depends on the type of trash talk and how often it is. And then there's a second kind of offshoot of that is, can you back it up? If you're going to trash talk, but then you can't back it up with your movement and your actual gameplay, then you have no room to trash talk. Like someone like Doublelift will trash talk you anytime he can, but he has, before this recent split, has had the ability to back it up. The problem that I find with too much trash talk is it starts to get old for me. Because what else are you going to say? Oh, everyone's trash. I'm not trash, but everyone's like, there's usually some iteration of that. And I think that starts to get stale. I don't really know that I could speak for anyone else because, I play League and I see what people say. Like, I don't think that anybody in this community is no stranger to trash talk. But there's a difference between just trying to have fun about it and trying to be mean about it. And I think some people don't understand that line, or they don't know how to put the inflection that makes it a joke. And I think that that's kind of a big difference between trash talk and memeing for fun.
Because I just think overall that gamers don't really necessarily mesh with trash talk, because like trash talk is kind of things that, jocks and cheerleaders did in like high school. And I think gamers overall are, kind of introverted, solitary people where they want to get away from that. So seeing that in their game is, not something they want to be a part of. But even if it's like small, like, hey, because like, in League, because you play League, and like in a game, a solo queue game, people will always say like, well, you're trash, and then I tell people that's trash talk. That might not be like the most like horrific thing you can say, but that's trash talk in general. So I would say like, if you're gonna say things like you're trash and you suck and a jungle difference, top difference, like you're trash talking too, like, and you're doing the exact same thing you're saying you don't like, which I'm still surprised at people for doing that.
Yeah, I think that some people probably think that just saying something like, oh, you're trash or oh, you're not good at this game, I think they find that to be pretty mild. But I don't think that they're really understanding what they're saying. And I do agree with you. I think that a lot of gamers are introverted. I call myself an introverted extrovert because I do love to hang out with my friends and have a good time and go out in public. And then there's some days where I would just want to sit in a corner and just not talk to anybody or do anything with anyone. So I kind of see myself on both ends of the spectrum. And I think that gaming is hard and like now it's becoming such a big acceptance. When the Simpsons did their League of Legends episode essentially where they kind of made fun of it and Homer was just so surprised that you could make money from playing video games. And it's kind of this whole thing where a lot of people don't understand that you can actually make a living being in this industry. This is not just a hobby or something that you enjoy or that you're a nerd or a geek if you play. You can actually do something with this. And people don't understand when you're playing video games like, oh, you're playing video games for like 8 hours a day. That must be a great job. No, it's exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Especially playing League when games can last 40 to 50 minutes and you're constantly, moving around and you're thinking about macro and objectives and, everything that you have to do, it's actually exhausting. And if you're playing that for 8 hours a day, that can really kind of, get to you after a little bit. So I can understand why, some players tend to be, a little bit, they can sort of start to get burnt out as well.
Because honestly, I can't stream. I tried it. I can stream if I do it on my main YouTube channel. I can do it for like an hour, but after that, I'm like, good lord, how do people do this for 8 hours straight a day?
Yeah, I stream as well. And
so
it is my Twitch is twitch.tv/neurocentric. Okay. I usually do, I will link the streams normally on my Twitter when I'm about to stream. And I have a lot of fun with it, but after a few hours, I really start to, because I'm a type of gamer that I will game, and while I'm gaming, like especially if I'm playing something really simple, like if I'm playing World of Warcraft, you can really multitask playing that game. I can play and look at my phone, and you can't really do that when you're streaming. You have to be kind of on. You have to be presentive to your audience, even if no one's watching, because if someone jumps in and you're just sitting there looking at your phone, they're not going to watch anymore. They want to see you play. They want to see you interact. And it's really exhausting. And for people that stream so long to thousands of people, I mean, I think that would be cool. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but I think I commend anyone that can do that for such a long time.
Pokimane is a Twitch queen. I don't know
yes,
how she does
I mean,
yeah. I couldn't do it. I cannot just do that and sit down for like 8 hours just, playing games. I love playing games, but the amount of time and effort to even build a streaming community is also hard too.
Yeah. And it also, depending on the comments, I mean, someone like her, I mean, she gets a lot of very interesting comments on her Twitch. And it's kind of hard to keep up a happy persona when certain people are,
calling you a thought every single stream.
Right, and just generally not being a good person. And I find that that's a big problem in the gaming community. And speaking as a female, if someone on League is to find out that I'm a female, the insults get way more colorful because they know I'm a female. And I've heard some really awful stuff being said to me, and it's like, what's the problem? Like, I don't understand. And that's a really big thing in this community. And I think that, people need to kind of, we're kind of representative of the gaming community, anyone who plays. And so when that kind of stuff comes out, it doesn't look good on the community. And I think that as a whole, we do need to do better. Will that happen? I don't know. But I think that we could do better at the very least. If we tried.
I think certain girls portray your type of gamer girl in the wrong light, because there has been just a recent massive craze of gamer girls, and I've talked to other gamer girls, and the thing with them is more like I just kind of came into gaming, it was always something I always really loved, but I couldn't just be expressive with it because of just how my life was. And you're the type of gamer girl where you've always liked games, and right? You always like kind of like video games and stuff like that, right? In general.
Oh, yeah, always.
See, but their type of girl is only... it's no offense to anybody, but I feel like that type of gamer girl only is doing it because it's the cool thing to do. You kind of always have been that way, so it's more natural for you to enjoy what you're doing. Theirs is more like, oh, can you subscribe to my OnlyFans page? And yeah, I'll only play this game if you donate like $1,000. It's like, what? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? That's just certain people. Not everybody's like that, but that's just breaking down certain barriers about how certain female gamers are, and certain guys are like that too. It's not, just one type of person, obviously.
Yeah, so there's like a website or something about like you can pay an e-girl to play a game with you or something.
You can rent an e-girl now. I'm not doing it because I'm obviously, you guys know I'm taken, but people are like sex sells. That's just how it. That's like the easiest way I can put it. Like, if a guy's gonna give you $1,000 to play some games with him for a couple hours, most girls would do it. It's $1,000, or like less than that, obviously. But I don't really know. I think people need to understand that a girl can play a game, but it's literally just that. Like, she's just another person in the game. I can't tell you how many like thirsty people go after certain women and DM them and stuff like that. Like, even with our conversation, I wasn't like DMing you constantly. I just says, hey, did you want to be a guest? You're like, yeah. Time? This time. Topics? Yeah. And then we're done. Most guys would be like, oh, hey, what are you doing later tonight? What are you wearing? Just like, it's like, why? That gives you the taste that all people are like that. When it's one bad interaction can make it a bunch of things bad for a lot of other people too.
Well, the other thing that kind of worries me about the e-girl thing, like, I am 1000% in support of people who want to, make money in a way that is respectable to them, if it bolsters their confidence, if it makes them feel good, if it's not actually hurting anyone, then I think that's fine. So my statement here is not to belittle any of the females who are on this website trying to, make money. Mm-hmm. But for some of the men, I feel like it might give them this indication that they can pay for company, and they don't have to do that. And there's a lot of guys out there who, and it's not just in the gaming community, just all over the place, who believe that if they are nice to you, nice to a woman, that automatically means that woman is beholden to you. I had a friend once who talked to me and said that he was upset about, he was trying to essentially court a girl that he wanted to date. And he was like, I don't understand. I was nice to her. I helped her. And I'm like, that doesn't give her carte blanche. Like, that's not her. Just because you were nice to her, you were being a decent human being. That does not mean that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That she has to now go out with you. There was no contract. You were nice to her because you were a human being. And so I think a lot of guys might do this, this thing where they pay for this girl, and then they think, oh, well, now that I've played and I did so well at League, I bet she's really going to be into me, and I bet she's going to want to hang out with me. And that's just not how the world works. And so I worry that kind of website will bring more issues with certain people who do not know how actual social interaction, not just with females, but with anyone, is supposed to work.
I probably will tell you, just generally, me even speaking the way I did in this video, I don't care what people say about me in general. I don't care. I've heard it all before. Simp, your content sucks, people will never watch you. I heard it all, guys. In general, I personally would say to anybody out there is, you being a decent human being and doing things to help people, that should be your goal in general. Doing it because you have an ulterior motive, that would make you a bad person, because you want something out of it. You're not doing it because you genuinely want to do it. And it's I'm a firm believer in girls feeling that. Girls can probably feel an intention coming out of a person a mile away. That's what my mom always said. Girls know just instantly whether or not you're bullshitting or whether or not you're telling the truth. It's really, I wish I could do that personally.
Man, your mom is a different person than me, because I've been, my bullshit meter has definitely been tuned up after my last couple of relationships. I had to tune it up because I got tricked. I got actually tricked by a pathological liar, who incidentally is the reason why I got into this game.
Oh my god! What happened? Guys, okay, I'll say this before. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to.
No, you're fine. It's basically, long story short, he just kind of started lying about everything. And I mean everything, even tiny things that you wouldn't think that people would lie about. It just started to lie to the point where now I'm like, wait, what was true in that relationship? Was there anything he told me that was actually true? And people like that, they know how to add to their stories, and they know how to have essentially alibis to their stories. So you go, well, wait, what about that? They'll have an explanation for it. And that was something I'd never come in contact before in my life. But I am thankful for it, because if I had not met him, I would not have gone into League of Legends, and I would not be where I am today. So if he ends up listening, thank you, man, because now I'm here.
And now you taught me a valuable life lesson that people actually lie to each other. And that's just how the world works. I'm not lying in general about anything, but I think people need to understand that if you want a girlfriend, this is what I tell people. I met my girlfriend by going outside. One day, I had literally no food in my refrigerator. I got paid, and I was like, I need some food. And my friend, he couldn't come get me because he was working. I was like, all right, I'm going to the store. I'm getting some food. Came out, and then went to the bus stop and met my girlfriend there. To literally get girlfriend, you would have to most likely go outside. You can internet date, but I did that before, and I hated that personally. I think it's there's so much shade and so much goodness. You have to be such a fake person to even attract girls on the internet in general.
And on the girl side, you get ghosted a lot. And there's a lot of inappropriate pictures. Oh, they don't even say hello. Their hello is literally a picture of something that you didn't ask to see. And you're like, I'm sorry. Okay. Bye. There's a lot of, it's just so it's just so aggressive, and you're like, can we wait like just a little bit? Like, come on, like just slow down a little bit. The ghosting is really interesting too. I've been on dates where like they've actually gone really great. We've like texted after and everything, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And
same here.
You just don't understand the mindset. And I really wish, like, if I go on a date with somebody and they're not into me, and like later that night maybe they text or something and they say, hey, thanks, you know, I had a good time, however I'm just not really feeling it, that's fine. Be honest, be communicative. The people that act, I bet you anybody who's in a League game who says no one's communicating, no one's telling you when my jungle's gonna gank, they're the same people that won't tell you that they're not into you after a date. Be communicative.
It's the same people that assume in the game that you should be exactly where you're at. Like, no, dude, if you don't tell me anything, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know. You have to open up your mouth and be. What was that saying back in the day when we were kids? Like, closed mouths don't get fed? Something like that?
I don't know that I've ever heard that, but it sounds like it would be something that an adult would say.
Yeah, basically, the saying is, unless you open your mouth, you're not going to get anything done. Yeah, it's just, I've been on dates with girls. My girlfriend, you know, she's great now, but like back when I was on the market, when I used to go on date with girls, I'd be like, you know, hey, I had a great time, and they would just, no, you got a response back. I got nothing back. I got zip. And I'd be like, hey, did I do something wrong? Just all of a sudden you're just ignored. I'm like, what the hell did I do? We just went out for dinner? I said I work and go to the gym? What? That's a deal breaker? I was like, holy crap, what's going on in the world?
Yeah, I think, and you know, I feel that internet dating it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I typically don't like to go out to bars to meet people, just simply because I know the type of people that can sometimes go to bars, and I don't really want to associate with, you know, someone possibly like just trying to get me, to go out with them for just one night and then never hear from them again, although that does happen in internet dating as well. But I also think that internet dating is kind of a great way to get to know somebody initially before you actually meet them, because I think that it gives an added little bit, instead of just, okay, I like their face, I like their, you know, whatever, now I can go out with them. You get to talk to them first as well. I really don't like people where I would message them and I would say, hey, how's it going? And they just say, good. What are you up to? Nothing. And I'm like, all right, this isn't gonna work. If you're just gonna like act like we're in a, you know, 2000 and, you know, or like, you know, 1998 AOL chat room, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore. Hey, we're not doing this.
It's like, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Do you want to go out tonight? No. Did you see any movies this week? No. It's just like, all right, I just assume you're being boring. You're just a boring person. Hell no. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my god. But I don't know. I think people just need to what's the word that I would say to guys? Just like calm down when you're talking to girls. So like most of the time they're doing the right things, you know, keeping you interested. It's just people have this habit of being too forward without noticing context. So like if you guys out there like League or anime or, you know, movies, also movies are fun to talk about, but not, like video games and anime, unless the girl's actually into that, I wouldn't bring it up when you initially first talk to them, because that could kind of be like, man, this person's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's. I think the advice that I would give to anybody, not just men, not just women, but just, you know, just relax. Just take it easy, take a beat, and especially now with COVID-19. Oh yeah, we're going back to old school courting. You are not going to be going out immediately. You're not going to be and that's the other thing too. If I ended up talking to somebody on like Bumble or whatever, and they immediately wanted to hang out, nope, because that means they're not taking this COVID-19 seriously. And I need someone who's going to be smart enough to take it seriously. Wash your hands, people. Wash your hands. Practice social distancing. If you play games, you know what that's like.
Oh, he's throwing shade out there. You guys don't have interaction anyway. I even said before, I'm an introverted extrovert. There are some days where I will turn down invitations to go out because I just want to sit home and play video games. But I think also there's a difference between, you know, deciding to go out or stay in and then being forced to stay in. When someone makes the choice for you, when a situation makes a choice for you, it actually makes it worse. I think that if people
we're just able to decide right now. I think some people would go out and some people would stay in, or they would mix in and match. You know, they would leave and come and stay in. Like, they could do whatever they want, but now we can't.
Man, good Lord. But that was the first part of our conversation. I had to dial it back towards something different because I freaking messed up in the first part, and I was like, crap, I gotta turn the topic over so we can go back to the LCS. You said this portion of what we're going through right now in the LCS is actually going to be something that is going to be engraved in history. You said that before?
I don't know that it was me that said that. It might have been somebody else, but I do believe that is going to be a big thing because everyone's going to kind of remember what this time was in League. And it really, I think another thing is it depends on how long it lasts. Because if we take the drastic measures that we're starting to take, and if we continue to take them, we may be able to see a turnaround where things are going to get better in possibly a few months. If the rollout of the social distancing and quarantines and whatnot goes a lot slower, we could be seeing this type of League content where it's just going to be in their gaming houses and the casters are going to be at home streaming in. We're going to see that for a long time. And I can just imagine what Worlds would be like if Worlds even happens. Because I don't even know if that kind of large scale online tournament could even be a thing.
Oh, because the only podcast I've watched about the coronavirus is the Joe Rogan one, and he was a trained expert. He showed people his freaking what's the word? His credentials? Is that what you call them?
Mm-hmm.
So he showed people like he's legit, and what he said. This is not going to be something because people keep saying, "Oh, it'll blow over." Yes, it will blow over, but it's not going to blow over anytime soon. That's the difference. People say it'll blow over. No, that means it's going away in like 2 weeks. No, this is going to be here. Okay, the estimate to even make a vaccine will be like 6 months, people have said. And then
18 months.
18 months. Okay. Holy fucking hell. Holy
it takes, I heard, and I don't have my source with me, so you can take it with a grain of salt or do your own research, anyone that's listening. But I heard that they did have a vaccine that they did create and they administered it. However, they need to have the patient they have to kind of keep them in check for 14 months to determine whether or not the vaccine actually did what it was supposed to do. So making a vaccine takes a lot of time, especially when we don't know everything about this virus. And not to mention, there's so much misinformation going out there. I saw something it was from a friend, and I actually had to report it on Instagram because it said that if you gargled with salt water, it would kill the virus. And that is just scientifically inaccurate. You cannot kill this virus with just salt water. That's not going to work. This is not just the flu. This is not as simple as what people want it to be. It's just not. And I mean, you're seeing people like out on the beaches in Florida, and it's just, there's so many people. The biggest problem with COVID-19, as opposed to say like SARS or H1N1 from like 2009, is that there are so many people who are actually asymptomatic. So that means you could have the virus and you won't actually know, and you could spread it to other people. And whether or not they could become symptomatic, we don't know. That's the thing. We're not sure what's causing. I say we as if like I'm a physician. I'm not. I tried to be, but I'm not. I didn't even get past pre-med, but that's a long-winded story that no one needs to hear about. But we don't know that much about this virus just yet. We're still learning, and we're learning how it's being, from what I've been hearing from physicians like Sanjay Gupta. He was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert last week before they completely shut down their production. He said that this happens through droplets. So like if I have COVID-19 and I sneeze, and then I leave my chair, and then someone 2 hours later comes and sits in my chair, I could have passed the illness on to them because it stays through droplets. So that's why you need to wash your hands, because if you touch a surface where someone who had COVID-19 also touched the surface, and then you touch your face, which we realize how much now that we touch our faces, It can get in through your nostrils, through your mouth. Like that's how it kind of spreads. And so if you don't know you have the virus, if you're asymptomatic, you don't know if you're spreading it to people. And that's why things like finals had to be shut down. And I'm in Texas. I was completely gutted that they had to get rid of spring finals here in Texas. It would have been my first actual presser. I was really excited about it. But unfortunately, we cannot have as many people as we were going to have in the state of Texas. Everyone probably could have gotten sick. We just don't know who has the virus and who doesn't at this point.
And this is the problem, as I was telling my friends yesterday, is that person that has the virus, let's say they go to the doctor and get tested, patient, what's the thing? Patient customer confidentiality, something like that?
Yeah, like HIPAA and stuff.
Yeah, so they can't say if you have it, if you say, hey, don't tell people. And the person that even has it, I think won't say anything because, getting socially outcasted from your town because if someone finds out you have it in your town and they tell their people, shit. And and no one wants to go through that either. And it's like, it is the right thing to tell people, but then people are thinking like, oh man, God, this person is like nasty. They have the coronavirus. Even that is a problem too. Like, let's say if a kid is at school having it, does their parent tell the principal? And then the principal has to tell the kids, and that kid's gonna get bullied. And then this is a big, big problem actually.
Honestly, I think that in the case of a child or in the case of anybody that has the virus, they should be immediately quarantined. If you have the virus, you should not be going out anywhere for at least 2 weeks. And so if there's a kid at school who has the coronavirus and the parent is still putting them in school, the parent needs to take some classes on parenting because that is completely unsafe. If they did decide to keep their kid in school, they would be actually, I believe, legally obligated to tell the principal that their child has coronavirus, because I do not think that it may not be illegal, but it's definitely unethical to have an illness that is highly contagious and not tell anybody that you have it. And just because you have the coronavirus, it doesn't mean that you're nasty or anything. This virus is being spread just by existing next to one another. I mean, it's really, yes, it's in the air, it's in the droplets, and that's what is such a big problem. And if you're asymptomatic, like I said before, and you don't know that you have it, that becomes because if you're asymptomatic, you're not going to show any symptoms. So no one's going to know that you're actually sick. You're not going to look sick or feel sick. So that's why it's so hard to contain. And if we were doing more testing, we would know who was actually sick. I bet that the numbers in this country of people who are infected are way higher than what they're actually reporting, just simply because we're not doing enough testing.
Also, because you know how the Americans are going to react once they figure out the actual numbers. Because if people are rating for toilet paper and hand soap, and people have said the hand soap really does not work. You need alcohol cleanser, right? Yeah,
I think it's you can get hand sanitizer that's 60% alcohol is pretty good, but that's not to say that hand soap is not good. You should be washing your hands as often as you can, especially after you touch your face, touch any surfaces. You want to be washing your hands regardless of if it's got 60% alcohol in it. The hand sanitizer is a good thing as well. And the big thing about people buying mass buying toilet paper, mass buying hand sanitizer and soap and things like that, I think that there's a difference between panic and, blasé attitude. There's and both of those things are really bad, because if you have a blasé attitude, then you're not really paying attention to what's actually happening, which is there's a serious pandemic going on and we all need to be safe because we're trying to flatten the curve. We're trying to prevent and slow down the amount of people that are getting sick so that the hospitals don't get overloaded, because we don't have enough beds and we don't have enough ventilators. And if the hospitals get overloaded, then they cannot actually treat everybody who comes into the hospital sick with coronavirus or with something else. And so if you're blasé about it, that's a problem. And if you're panic hoarding everything, that is also a problem, because then no one else gets the items. And I think that we need to, if you're panicking, don't panic. You need to be aware, but you don't need to panic. And if you're being blasé, stop that shit, because this is actually really important and everybody needs to be aware of it. And if you still think that this is a problem, look at what the league is doing. Look at what they're actually doing. I mean, the LEC shut down. It was the LEC tweet had been reported mere minutes before they were start broadcast. They had known maybe 20 minutes before broadcast was about to begin. And then they had to have shocks out there explaining what was going on. And then that evening, LCS followed suit. So if you really don't think that this is a big problem, follow follow league, follow what they're doing. They're taking this seriously. That means you should too.
Yeah, because people keep saying, "Oh, it's not that big a deal. I'm not a bitch. I'm not a sissy. I'll go outside and I'll do whatever I want." Okay, you can do that. I'm gonna just be safe and be cautious no matter what. Because it's not about people blowing things over. Because this is what I tell people: if it wasn't that serious, even despite the news not being the best source of information or social media, if it wasn't that serious, people wouldn't be going through this much hassles in general, because businesses would just be like, let's just shut down, make no money, screw everybody over. No, businesses do not want to go through that in general. Like, no one wants to go through that.
Right. And the LCS, LEC, I mean, they don't want to cancel their road shows. They don't want to cancel their events and then have to do this whole online thing, because they're having to probably get, the right equipment and get them over to each caster and analyst house. They have to make sure that all of the gameplay that's happening, since they're not going to be sending referees, at least the LEC isn't sending referees to the game houses and that. I believe probably the LCS will follow suit in that same thing, which means they're going to have to put in extra equipment to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Not necessarily that I think, someone like Doublelift is going to start cheating, but, they need to keep up with the integrity of the game. So, I mean, these are not things that just come easily. It's not like, oh, we're just going to do an online tournament, who cares? There's actually a lot of work that goes into these things. So people are taking it seriously, and that's what everyone else should be doing too.
Man, good gosh. I just hope that this is all over by at least December, when it's close to my birthday. Because I don't know, I'm now going to go through my birthday with this. Because, even my job, it's like, I don't want to have... I have to do it. It's not that I have money problems in general, but this will cause some money issues. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't tell my landlord, hey, work is screwing me over, but they're not really screwing me over anyway. It's just, no one plans for this. This is something you don't even plan for.
Right. And that's what worries me too, is that the whole country is going to be affected by this in some way, shape, or form. And if we're not getting some sort of, kind of safety net for people, because it'd be one thing if, say, I lost my job, and that would be on me to go and get my stuff situated and try to figure out what to do. But almost the whole country is going to be unemployed in some way, shape, or form. And so it seems really asinine to have every landlord in the country go, oh, well, I know about this coronavirus, but, I have to pay my mortgage payments as well for this complex. So I'm just going to make you pay rent. And if you can't pay rent, then I'm going to evict you. Where's the compassion? We're all going to be affected by this.
I don't know what I'm doing right now. I mean, I've been through worse. I'm pretty sure I can get through it. But this is what I told people. Even if they create a vaccine, do you know how long it's going to take to disperse that vaccine throughout the entire world? The entire world. That's people underplay that. It's the entire world. That's every single place in the country needs the vaccine. That's also going to take time.
Yeah. This is a big thing, and one of the biggest issues that I find is that we knew about this for a little bit. I think China reported their first cases, I think, in November, December. And I think America got their first case, I think, sometime in January or February, I want to say. And we didn't start taking the steps that we should have taken. We had a lot of time, and now I think we're about 10 or 11 days behind Italy's trajectory. And Italy's having a real rough time. And in some of their areas where they've gone full lockdown, they've been able to stop the epidemic cold. But, that's because they actually went really strict on it. They locked everyone down. There was nothing except for groceries and pharmacies open. Everything else was closed. And we're only doing a smattering of that in certain states. Not everyone's following it. And I think that this is actually going to come up to be a big problem if we don't if the whole country, we can't just have 10 people, smattering around the country taking it seriously. Everybody has to take it seriously.
Definitely California is. LA, I mean, it's just what you said. It's just no dining in places and just takeout. But and that's the thing. And people are like, well, how am I going to pay my rent? Everybody's going through the same thing. So I would say hopefully the government helps. They said they're going to be sending out a certain amount of money in checks to people who aren't really working. So if you are working minimal hours at your job, then your job will pay you. and you get paid like what, twice a week, some people do, and then the government's gonna pay you, so you will be a little bit more, you're gonna be, it's hard to say you're gonna be okay after everything we just said, right? Everything will be just fine. No, everything's not gonna be fine. We're all, this is pretty bad, but it's not as worse as it could be, you know?
Yeah, and I also think that if people were to take this, you know, for anyone that's worried about their jobs and things like that, and everyone has a right to be, and everyone is probably going to be worried about that, but then you also have to think about, what are you doing as part of this? What are you doing to protect yourself and others from this virus? Are you saying, hey, you know, I'm worried about my job, and then you're still going out to restaurants and partying, or you're going to the beach when you can, or, you know, you're doing that? Or are you saying, what's happening in my job, and you're also quarantining and trying to keep yourself safe and washing your hands and all that stuff? You know, if you're saying, you know, I'm scared about this, but then you're not doing anything to quarantine or practice social distancing or trying to flatten the curve, then you need to work on that as well. And I think that the faster we do that, the faster that we might be able to get a handle on it and stop the virus from spreading. And I think that that's the biggest thing that we can do with this virus right now. And there's information all over the place. You can check the CDC website. They tell you exactly what you need to do. They can tell you how it spreads, or at least what they know as of now about how it spreads. And they can tell you all the information that you need to know about this. And it's very important that people do that. And then hopefully, if everyone can kind of get on the same page, but just stay 6 feet away from each other, then we can hopefully get to, you know, a better, you know, spot.
Hopefully this will all be over by the end of the year. Hopefully it's going to be one of those things that, you know, come and goes. I really hope, when people say, oh, it's going to blow over, I really hope you're right, because I really want it to blow over, because this is like something nobody, like 2020 will probably go down as one of the worst years since the 2000s began. This is probably one of the worst that I've ever lived through, honestly.
Yeah, I've been saying for a couple days now, like, GG, go next 2020. Like, I'm just kind of over it already.
Like, oh my goodness. So what else do you like beside League? Do you like anime, movies, going out to...
I've really actually recently got into anime. I was always kind of a behind the person anime watcher. So like, if someone I knew was watching it and they were watching it, I would like be doing something on my phone or doing other things and kind of glancing at the television. So I've kind of seen like snippets of like Full Metal Alchemist and Death Note and Naruto, and most of these have been like, the Naruto I saw was not dubbed, it was subtitled, and then the rest were the dub stuff that you'd see on Funimation, like on Cartoon Network. But I've really recently got into Demon Slayer, and I am obsessed with this show. I can't stop.
Is it actually really good? I want to get into
it. It's amazing. It is amazing. I've been trying to ration it out because there's only one season so far. Like I think it's like 26 episodes. So I've been trying to ration it out. I'm a little bit over halfway through, and I cannot stress enough how freaking good it is.
So you're more of like a reality TV watcher or something like
oh god, no.
Like, no, really? So it's like no Flash, no Arrow, no Pretty Little Liars, Vampire Diaries, Love and Hip Hop LA?
No, it's funny, I haven't been watching a lot of TV, mainly just because I don't have it, I don't have cable, but I do have like Hulu and Netflix, so I'm a huge fan of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, Parks and Recreation, anything that's created by Michael Schur on NBC is a genius. The Orville, I really like, Family Guy, American Dad.
Which is funnier to you?
Between Family Guy and American Dad?
I think American Dad is hilarious.
I think that Family Guy was really great in the beginning and is slowly, I mean, the episodes recently, I've been starting to watch the recent season. They're fine, but I think that American Dad kind of made like the opposite way. Like the beginning episodes were all right, and then it's gotten steadily better as it's gotten on for longer. Whereas Family Guy was like kind of better in the beginning and then has slowly started to meh for me, but I still watch both. I absolutely love them both. I think Seth MacFarlane is incredibly talented.
The latest episode where it was Steve and he was like, "Dad, I'm a virgin. How do I do this?" Like, Steve came in and killed all those people. Oh my god, that shit was hilarious.
I really enjoy American Dad. It's a great show.
Me, man, people, I like South Park, American Dad, Family Guy. The one I always hated was Cleveland Show stunk. Like, that show was just trash, honestly, to me personally.
I pretty much only liked like one episode. The other ones were okay. I never really got into it. But South Park's another good one. I love South Park. If you've never seen their documentary 6 Days to Air, I highly recommend it as well. It shows you exactly how they make an episode in 1 week. They do it in actually 6 days, and it is stressful and also fascinating to how quickly they get everything done. It is such a great, it's like a 30-minute or 45-minute documentary, and it's really amazing.
Like, I really love when shows do that. Like, they give you one special little episode where it's basically just them showing you how they make an episode.
Yeah, it highlighted because they had just gotten back from promoting Book of Mormon out on Broadway, and so I think it was the Human Centipede episode that they were chronicling them creating and how they created it, how they were coming up with scenes in the writers' room, and how animation just at one point it was maybe like 12 hours to air. It was like 3:00 in the morning. Trey had just finished the script, and the animators are going in and finishing up and tweaking everything, and it's just they're like sleeping on couches waiting for Trey to finish the script so they can finish up the episode, and it literally gets sent there maybe hours before the premiere. Hours before the premiere, they have that tape ready to go at the studio, ready to go, and I think that's insane. And I think that's why they've only started doing 10 episodes a season, because of how exhausting that can get.
You know, after being a content creator myself, and you're, a person who creates stuff, creating stuff and making sure the craft is perfect right before the whole public sees it, I can understand on a much larger scale that being super, super stressful.
Yeah, and I just actually started, I say I started making YouTube videos. I've only made one. I made it yesterday, and I started using Blender, and I'm telling you, I mean, my editing of the video is very, it's very like simple. It's not fancy or anything, but even just doing what I did, which didn't really take me a lot of time because it was so simple, but it was like, wow, I cannot believe what video editors do on a day-to-day basis to make the videos that they produce so wonderful. And I think that's what's so fun to me, is just really learning about how other people in the industry actually make things and make them happen. And it gives me probably more of a respect for them because I know the hard work that it takes to make it happen.
There was a C9 versus TSM rivalry video back in 2018. It's one of my favorite pieces they ever created. It basically, like, they were showing all the rivalry of TSM versus Cloud9, them going over the history, and then as they were filming a dive episode, they were filming that as well, and I was like, oh my god, like, these people, what they go through, they're so, I think the most underrated people in anything is, like, the behind-the-scenes people, where you'll never know who they are. You'll never know what they're doing, but they're always trying to make sure what you're going to watch is going to be, even though it's bad to some people, it's like, they're trying to make sure the best thing to come out of it is, like, the craft.
Yeah, and there was a tweet not too long ago, maybe just a few days ago, from the LEC showing how, like, intros get made and how the sound people in the back actually make an episode of League just kind of pop and make it what it is. And it's just, you really have to be so super just invested in what you're doing to make those things happen so smoothly. And I think that's what's so hard sometimes, is when, like, and there'll be audio issues in anything, and they'll be like, ha ha ha, Rito, small indie company. And I enjoy that. I think it's funny too. But then I also think about, like, do you know how many times they don't make mistakes? How many times they make things move so flawless? Those things are really difficult to do, and they make one mistake and all of a sudden it's oh my god, small indie company. You really have to put a lot of respect when you think about the people behind the scenes that make an LCS or LEC production actually happen.
Okay, so for the people who didn't watch the first part, because I messed up on it, you're a fan of C9, you like watching TL, you actually like G2 as well. Do you like anybody from LPL or LCK? Not like as a fan, just just like you like enjoy just watching those people in general too, if you do.
Well, it's hard for me to catch LPL and LCK because of the time difference.
Oh yeah, you're Eastern.
Well, actually, I'm central. But I am like a night owl, but I also, my full-time job is a 9 to 5 type of deal. So if I stay up late, I pay for it in the morning because I'm not a morning person at all. I've been told that when I wake up in the morning, I look inconvenienced by consciousness, and I think that that's pretty apt. I think it actually perfectly encapsulates how I feel when I wake up in the morning. So I don't get to catch them. I really only see them during Worlds or MSI, things like that. But I mean, this is going to sound so cliche, but I really do think Faker is super cool. I saw him on Rick Fox's charity stream that he did during Riff Rivals. And he seems very shy, but he also just seems like a really nice guy.
It's weird though, because the Michael Jordan of League is super shy. It's so weird.
Right. But he's just, I also find the play to be amazing. I also really like Coma and Clid and just like some of these, like, the well-known people on SKT, or I'm trying to think, like, I love Doin B. Doin B is the sweetest, most wholesome man I've ever seen in my life. And I became such a fan of him with Worlds.
No,
and I had to
ended my G2 Grand Slam. No.
Oh, man. That was rough, actually, because Worlds
I woke up early to watch that, and they lost.
Yeah, I woke up and watched it early, too. The only reason why I was happy with Fun Plus Phoenix winning was because it gave me my article title for my one of my first articles that I wrote when I was still self-publishing, and it was just like, 2019 finals, fly Phoenix fly. Like it wrote itself. It was beautiful, like just the heavens shone above as I wrote that title. That was the only reason why I was happy that FPX won, because I really was rooting for G2. I actually have a question for you. How do you feel about the role swap now? Because we had, Perkz and Caps switch, and now they've switched again. What do you think about that?
I truly don't think Caps is as good as Perkz in ADC specifically. I think that, they probably were thinking, I know everything they said, but in hindsight, it's more or less so they were thinking, oh, if Perkz did it, Caps can do it too. That's not how that works. Perkz, I think, is a much smarter player than Caps, but Caps is better mechanically. So to be an ADC, I think that Perkz' mindset and how he plays fits it better than Caps does. I think that I think they're going to personally switch back when it comes to summer. I don't think he's that great of an ADC. Despite what everybody keeps saying about him, I think he's great at certain things like team fighting and, macro, but overall laning phase is pretty lackluster. They get behind specifically from him alone in bot lane. I just don't think that this is the trade for me, but I still love them, but I don't think Caps being an ADC is going to make them anything better. I think this is literally just because Spring, has that doesn't matter clause to it.
Yeah, which I'm actually so torn about, like, taking away the championship points, especially because, like, I feel that that's going to be sort of the thing that people say about C9 is they're going to be like if they just completely keep dominating, they win, even if they win finals, and then they say, oh, well, this was Spring, it didn't really count. Or that's how they give, they add another excuse to Team Liquid's, the pile. Oh, it was Spring split, it didn't really count. Because first it was they don't have Broxa. Then it was, well, Doublelift is, not feeling well. Then it was this. Then it was that. There was a whole bunch of excuses. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if TL doesn't do well, they're just going to add another one to the fire, when I think that their issues have nothing to do with Broxa. Their issues have nothing to do with,
Schernfire, even
with Schernfire, they have nothing to do with tactical, because you can say, oh, well, it was Schernfire. Okay, well, you have 4 other veteran players.
He didn't even play that bad though.
Tactical, like you have 4 other veteran players.
Like Schernfire didn't even play that bad though. I don't know why people were like, just going on his. He literally did not play that bad. And this is like, I watched the OPL. There are some dog shit players in that league. He actually played. What? He's not a TN Yankos Tarzan player. He's not that. He's like he is more like, if you're watching, because you watch the LEC, he's more like Trick He's more like a trick level jungler. You know, he'll do what he needs to do. But what else do they want? You have 4 other superstar players in your team. Like, what do you want from him besides for him to play his role? And Doublelift even said, you know, that kind of sucks. It kind of sucks for Surefour. Yeah, it does. Now no one's gonna pick him up anymore in the LCS. Yeah, it really does suck for him. His career's over. You freaking dick.
I don't actually even know that it will necessarily be over for him at this point, because I think that any coach or analyst would understand the circumstances in which, I mean, he really didn't have a lot of time to scrim with the team. And also his type of gameplay may not serve well for Liquid. Like if you look at Xmithie and Broxah, the two, you know, you have the previous jungler and then the next jungler, they're both the type of generous players. You know, if Doublelift wants resources, if Jensen wants resources, Xmithie and Broxah are going to give it to them. You know, they just have to, you know, obviously be communicative to that. So I think that Surefour, if he's not that type of jungler, it's not really gonna bode well for their team. But like you said, these are veteran players. You can't blame it on the rookie. You know, what about the 2-0? When they went 2-0 with Tactical, everyone was like, oh my god, Tactical, the god. Then they lost their next game with him. Oh my god, Tactical's terrible. I mean, you really can't win. The thing is, the team has some inevitable issues that they have to really work through, and it's not because of Broxah or Doublelift or, you know, Jensen alone. It has to do with the team as a whole, and they really have to work on that if they want to do better in the summer split.
See, when people saw Tactical do well like that, I've been watching League for, good lord, how long, many? 7 years at this point? No, 6 years. Well, it's pretty much almost 7 years. I have seen times where teams have big problems during the split. They bring in a sub player. He does really well that 1 week. Next week, he kind of sucks. People were drinking the Tactical Kool-Aid so much, and I'm like, I've seen this before over and over. Like, do you remember SK Gaming from last year when they had Pyrion? At one point, Pyrion got to play over Faker on SKT. A lot of people don't remember that, actually. And he played really well for like a week. And then after that, they played against KT Rolster when they had UCal, and he got just destroyed. And then they put Faker back in. This is something that this happens all the time, but people are just so in love with that one performance that they're just going to be just riding that for a long time. And I'm like, no, he's going to play bad in one of the games, he's going to lose, and they're going to bring Doublelift back in. What a way to really show him you're going to bench him. Tactical sucks for one game. This is his 3rd LCS game. Why not give him another game to play? It wasn't, you know, like, that's just my own personal thing with it, but it is playoffs. That's another issue in itself, but people are always going to have asterisks, you know, around teams winning. I remember when C9 made Top 4 at Worlds, it was, oh, they only faced easy teams. Yeah, but before that, the consensus was it was the group of death and they shouldn't get out. Okay, now they got out. Okay, so what's the excuse now? Well, they faced a Freak of Freaks. A Freak of Freaks were like the 2nd best team in spring and almost went to Worlds after beating Griffin. They almost beat Griffin again. So what's the excuse? Oh, you know, Vitality or Genji. Here's my thing. When a team sucks, it's not Cloud9 or anybody's problem. You suck because you sucked in that game. Cloud9 is going to go in doing what Cloud9 is going to do. If that team is better, then they should win.
Yeah. I think that, and I can't tell if I don't think that it's necessarily just, you know, I think that if you're not a fan of a certain team, you're going to be a lot more critical and logical of a team versus the fan of that team. You know, you're a fan of a team is always going to find an excuse or an asterisk next to something that the team did or didn't do, just to kind of protect their team. They're gonna defend that team. Mm-hmm. The problem is that it puts certain teams or players or ideas on a pedestal. But then you can also go the other way. If you look at, you know, I think it was it 2019 or 2018? It was 2018. When they swapped out Jensen and Smoothie and Sneaky, and everybody was like, hashtag not my C9, this is the worst thing ever, I can't believe you did that. And then Jensen got remotivated and brought back in, and then Sneaky, and then they kept Zeyzal, and then all of a sudden they went from 10th to, you know, 10th to the gauntlet. They smashed the gauntlet. They got to semifinals at Worlds, and everyone was like, oh my god, Reaper's a genius. You were not saying that weeks ago. You have to be able to be willing to stick with your team regardless of what happens. If you're really, you can be upset with a team's decisions, you can be upset with how a player acted or this or that or the other thing, but you also have to be respectful of, you are not the coach, you are not the analyst. Why don't we listen to the man who has, been a great pro player in his own right, and then notices that some of his players are being, they're not as motivated, and maybe wants to give them a little kick in the butt so they can start being motivated again. Maybe we should listen to that.
Or even when
maybe we should understand that.
Maybe when people, when they were talking the same thing about Sneaky, they were like, well, C9 is gonna fail without Sneaky. Medios was like, them kicking Sneaky is gonna be a big problem, and it's gonna really hurt them in the end. C9, so C9 goes 12-1 after he says that. It's like, really? Did Cloud9 really make a mistake right there? Because this is the thing that people fall into the fallacy of, is maybe the issue with Cloud9 and Sneaky is different, because I personally have always wanted a different ADC. I think we've always needed a different ADC. I know people love him, and I know that, but every single team that's really good and wins Worlds, MSI, titles in their own region, they always switch players. TL, TSM, the split where you came in, TSM in 2017, they switched out Doublelift with Wild Turtle, because you know how Doublelift went to go stream. They won the split. They won it. Second split to that, they won. TL is like, alright, fuck this. We need to win some titles. Changed their entire roster. TL used to be horrible. They won 4 in a row. IG has went through so many roster changes. They finally won Worlds and a title. FPX, they switched out 2 players, title, and then Worlds. I have so many. Fnatic and G2. G2 swapped out trash Yarnan and trash Wadid. People, oh my god, they're not good people. If anybody told me Yarnan and Wadid were good, you're out of your mind. They switched out those guys. MSI, World Finals in MSI. But Cloud9 can sit there with the same players over and over and over again, and then when Cloud9 doesn't win, people are like, why don't they make changes then? Well, they made changes. Well, I don't like these changes. Well, then what do you want then? I'm so confused with people, honestly.
And I think that it's okay to be skeptical of decisions that are made, especially when you're looking at other, if you look at, for instance, Zven coming into C9, you look at Zven's past record, you don't even take into account his time in G2, but his time on TSM. And you're thinking to yourself, maybe this is not going to be a good idea. However, he has flourished on C9, and he's flourished with Vulcan. They work really well together. They are a great bot duo. And I think I was pleasantly surprised when Zven came on and he showed the world the Zven that we just really didn't see on TSM. And I've heard that TSM's kind of a way different environment as far as their players go than C9.
Oh, yeah, so I've heard all the stories.
That probably has something to do with it, but we don't actually know. So I think it's okay to be skeptical, but to just flat out say, oh, C9's going to do terrible, this is going to be the worst split for them, there's a difference between being skeptical and just being outright like, nope, I'm just going to dismiss it, this is not going to work, because now what are you saying?
Oh, they went to Evil Geniuses. I swear, they went to Evil Geniuses because they're like, oh, Evil Geniuses feel more C9 than actual C9. Evil Geniuses has literally almost turbo-inted every single game I've seen them play on that stage.
I've pretty much been calling Evil Geniuses like C9 light.
No,
and only because not because of their gameplay, just because of how many C9 players they have. They have Kumo, Svenskeren, and Zeyzal. That's more than half the roster.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I've been calling them C9 light. And I was kind of hopeful for the team, but clearly there are some issues, especially communication. And I kind of feel bad for Bang because he's a different type of player than it seems. It seems like every player on the team kind of wants to do something different, and they haven't really figured out in communication how they want to go about it.
What do they expect? It was Jizuke. We saw Jizuke in 2018. No, we saw him suck in the LEC. We legitimately saw him suck. What did they expect was going to happen?
Yeah, it seems that they need to be able to figure out conclusively what the type of gameplay they want to go for. How are they? What defines them as a team? Because right now it looks like they took, if you're looking at they're basically like a band that is wearing all different outfits. You don't even know that they're actually a band or a team. Like, you don't know who these people are.
They just kind of
yeah, it looks like they just kind of picked like 5 people off the street and said, here, go ahead and play a team. They don't have any communication, and that is a big problem. They're not going to be able to actually do anything if they can't actually have communication. Communication is so important in this game. It all comes back to communication. Mm-hmm. Tell people if you're not into them. Communicate if you're going to the jungler, if you're going to gank. Like, communicate if you want to gank. Like, it's all about communication.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, even for relationships, is, if your girl's not happy, communicate with her. Ask her, hey, what's bothering you? If she throws a freaking ball at you, she's probably angry. And don't be like, hey, honey, are you okay? No, she's not okay. She just threw something at you. That's not okay. You know what I mean? But that's just, in the terms of even League 2, it's just, I don't understand why people think certain teams do the exact same thing they do, and they don't even ask, like, Forgiven in Schalke, like, even that situation, he said there was no, a bunch of, like, well, that has its own issues, but, communication in life, guys, is key to anything. That's how you get stuff done.
Also, I would like to say, if you are a female and your guy asks you what's wrong, do not throw anything at him. That is not mature. That is not good for any relationship. And also, and I tend to do this too, as a female, I tend to do this too. If someone asks me what's wrong and I don't want to talk about it, I say, fine. Like, I'm fine, or it's whatever, like, I'm okay. But I really, and I think most people need to learn, if something is bothering you and you don't want to talk about it, you can just say, no, I'm not okay, but I really don't want to talk about it right now. And I think that's perfectly fine. We are allowed as a society to feel upset about things. That is perfectly okay. And men too. You are allowed to feel upset about things. You are allowed to say, I don't want to talk about it right now. And you're also allowed to talk about it. Yeah. I think that there's a big problem with, like, masculinity in this. Like, I see sometimes, like, and I hate using this word, but people will be like, oh my God, you're crying. That's so gay. Like, no, it's not. And I'm sorry for using that word, because I really don't like.
My channel prefers if you be yourself.
It's actually not even me being myself. I don't personally like to use that word when describing something, like to say that something is so gay, but I use it as an example of what people like to say, because there's a lot of, and I see it a lot on Twitter, men who will, like, they'll say, like, even to the point of, like, if you look at, like, if you want to see if you have something under your nails, if you don't hold your hands a certain way, people will say that you're not masculine. And it's like, what is this? I don't understand. Just hold your hands the way you feel like it and look to see if there's crap under your nails. Like, who cares? And I think that that's such a problem, especially in the gaming community. Like, when people saw Faker cry, there were some people that were just like, oh man, like, I understand how he feels. And then there were others that were just not kind. And it's like, do you know what it's like to really be, so compassionate and passionate about something, and then to lose it, especially in a game? It doesn't matter if it's a game. You're really invested in it, and your emotions are going to be super high. So regardless, like, let the man cry.
Well, the thing with that to people is, because they said that they called him, remember, what was the thing they called him? Shaker? I was like, that's not, because, it's just a game, why is he crying? Okay, if it's just a game, why are you here then? Why do you care if it's just a game? And why do you care if he shakes it if it's just a game? You can already destroy those people in arguments by their own logic. If it's just a game and you don't care, why do you care if he's crying then? If it doesn't care, if it's just a game and it doesn't matter to you, why do you suddenly care about it? And then it's like, he's not some, no offense to people who out there who had jobs, stuff like that, but, before this, people were like, oh, it's just a game. He's making a lot of money anyway. It doesn't matter. He's doing what he's passionate about, and he lost at a very crucial moment when he legitimately lost in the series, honestly. That it's going to feel bad. Like, he's going to have to remember that all throughout his career. But you, the person who's an Iron 5, has the balls to say he sucks. What kind of logic is that? Well,
yeah.
That's like saying...
And the thing is...
Oh, it's my mind's blown, Like, oh my goodness, people, what's wrong with you?
Was that the series that they chronicled in the Phoenix video?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, like I think it was his Syndra.
Yeah.
That he had problems with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a major thing, and I think that it's, you know, and the other thing that you mentioned about like the Iron 5 kind of a thing, like I have been having a really hard time climbing this year. I was in silver last season. I'm in iron now, hard stuck in iron, can't get out of it. And I think one of the biggest problems that I'm having is like I'll play and my AD carry would be like, "Oh my god, Lux, can you hit a freaking Q?" And I'm like, "I'm in iron. I'm gonna make mistakes. What are you expecting? Are we in diamond right now? Are you in diamond? Like, I don't know what the I think my MMR is much higher than my actual rank, and I think I'm being placed with people who are much better at the game than I am, obviously. So they're expecting more out of me, and I'm like, I'm in iron. What do you expect from me? I'm doing my best. You know?
I feel your pain. I don't play
it's
ranked.
rough.
I don't play ranked anymore. I've retired from that for a while, but I played some normal games. I've been on a fucking 8-game losing streak because apparently if you're behind, people have this mentality, if I'm behind, I'm gonna constantly keep fighting. No, you do not constantly keep fighting. You have to play it safe. Like, you can fight. You have to pick your fights perfectly. No, we have to constantly keep fighting them because we can't be little bitches. That's not how it works. You will never win a game like that. That is not how it works. If you are 10,000 goal behind, you fighting is the worst thing you can possibly do.
There's also a lot of people who just they want to troll at the first instance of wrongdoing. Like, I had a game where I guess I can't remember what he wanted to play, my jungler, what he wanted to play, but it got, I guess one of the other players on my team had banned it. He got upset about that, but it actually ended up being banned from the other team regardless. So I was like, hey, even though he banned it, it would have been banned by the other team, so you wouldn't have been able to play it anyway. And he was like, no, I'm going to teach this guy, why you shouldn't ban what someone already said they wanted to play. And then just played a completely troll champ and just inted, didn't do anything, would just question ping around things and it would just laugh. Like, we would ask him for help at Drake and he would just stand there and not help. And that's the kind of thing that I just don't understand, that kind of mindset. It's like, what are you getting out of this? Mm-hmm. What is your, like, does it really make you hard to just kind of, troll somebody like that? Like, I just want to play. If I win, that's great. I would like to climb. Mm-hmm. If I lose, okay, I'm going to learn from what I did wrong. And I've started to mute all. I think it's a fantastic thing to do because I'm the type of person that if someone is automatically yelling at me, even if I haven't or have done something wrong, I'm going to try to overcorrect and I'm going to make more mistakes. If I mute all, then I don't know that they're flaming me.
Yeah. See, just yesterday, I had a game where this Nico played against Pantheon, died 6 times in 4 minutes. She had more deaths. Oof. She had more deaths than minutes on the board, and it was my fault. I know, guys. I told a story. I typed mid difference. She's like, "Well," I was like, "Mid difference, please stop inting." She's like, "What can I do? He just keep killing me. Play safe under your tower and farm. That's what you do. You don't keep fighting him like you're ahead. That's literally, he's gonna keep killing you." He's like, no, he's not. He kills her 3 more times. She's like, all right, I'm done. But just DCs. I'm like, they're like, Top, why'd you say that? I'm like, she is, I told him, she is inting us. She's literally doing this on purpose. And then if I bring it up, I'm the bad guy. I was like, all right, I'm muting you people. I was like, I'm done. You can't help stupid people in general. I can't. That's why when I go to my games, I was like, if people type, that's cool. If they don't, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've only rage quit one game. I've never done it before that point, and I never did it since. And it wasn't in a ranked game; it was in a norm game. I was against a Draven Yuumi bot. Oh. It was the worst experience of my life, and it is the only time I've ever actually rage quit a game. And I even felt so sad when I did it, because I felt so ashamed. It was like, I become the very thing I swore to destroy. But I knew it would be worse if I stayed. And I was just like, I've got to go. I've got to get some fresh air. I can't do this.
All right. I did that a few times. I never exactly... I left... It was a Garen Yuumi bot lane. That was the best thing last year. Oh my god, Cancer. I hate Yuumi as a champion. Yuumi's just not a champion. That thing is just overpowered.
It's rough.
My most hated champions are Zyra, Zoe, and Shaco. I just can't stand those 3. Those 3, oh, I can't. People like, don't you like Teemo? I never really lose to Teemo. Like, I'm not trying to be cocky, but like Teemo's not that big a deal. Like Shaco, Zyra, and Zoe, like they're just annoying champions. Like Zyra just throws stuff from a long range, one shots you, and it's like, alright, I'm dead. Shaco places boxes that fear you, that pisses me off. Every time I run into a Shaco box and it fears me. Oh my god, I get so triggered. I get so triggered. And then Zoe's just OP.
I have not quite. I've played Zoe a couple times in like ARAM, and I haven't quite learned how to make her do the chunk of health that she just knocks off of people. Like if I see someone like Niski like play Zoe, I don't know how he gets those chunks off. I haven't really learned her kit too well yet. Like I just get like a little mini chunk, and he just like knocks down almost half their health bar, and I'm like, how does he do that? But I'm also not a mid laner, so I don't really focus too much on trying to play Zoe like in like actual like Summoner's Rift games.
So you just went back to ADC now since support's not going too well?
No, I've actually, so my CS is usually fine. It's not so great when I'm being really poked out. And so then I end up focusing too much on CS and not taking the actual steps I need to take to be aggressive. So I'm still sticking with support because I know that if I went back to AD carry, it would probably be the same issue just with support. I would get someone that's too aggressive and then would get mad at me if I'm not being aggressive or vice versa. So I'm sticking with support because I really do like it. Like I said, I tend to play better with mage supports, although a friend of mine suggested Veigar support, and
better yet,
it's
Brand.
rough. It's rough.
I would try Brand. Brand is easier, and Brand.
I haven't played Brand in a while.
I honestly, I've been playing League so long, I've mained every single role. As a support main, when I used to play it, I loved playing Brand. Brand is so easy, and he does so much damage.
Yeah, I haven't played Brand in a while. I should. The last time I played Brand support was during a tourney scrim that me and my friends were doing, and the guy who was playing with me as my AD carry is a really good shot caller, and I love when someone's a good shot caller because I'm very good at being told what to do. So he had died, but we were getting chased in the top lane. This was like way past laning phase. We were getting chased. He had died. He's watching me and directing me. He's going, Q, now E, okay, R, W, Q, and I got a quadra kill.
Yeah, on Brand, it was like, I almost got a pentakill at I played it so badly, I almost got a pentakill at Baron, and then I flashed, and I hit the wall, and then I couldn't stun. And I was like, no, my first support penta ran away from me!
I've only gotten one penta.
Really?
And I didn't get it in Summoner's Rift. I got it in ARAM, actually. I was on MF, and we had a Taliyah on our team, and she ended up she hit her wall the same time I was about to hit my R, so they all got pushed back into the wall, and then I was able to ulti them down and got a penta. And I was so proud of myself, and everyone was like, oh man, that was a really great combo, and I'm like, yeah, we totally planned it. Like, I wasn't even paying attention. I'd only been playing the game for about 6 or 7 months at that point.
You're like, hey, I pressed a button.
You're like, I totally noticed she put up her wall.
Oh my god! When I first started, I was so bad. Honestly, like I've been playing it so long that I've made every single role. So that's when I decided that I only really like top and ADC because jungle it's not for me because that means I have to make all the decisions and I know how to carry a game, win a game, know what I'm gonna do when I'm behind, vision, objectives. I know all that stuff, but jungling not for me. Mid lane. I think my mechanical skill is not ready for mid lane. And support, I've been through enough bad AD carries. I just can't do support anymore. I played support for ages, and it was just, man, my ADC is not CSing properly. Like, all of them just play bad. And I was like, okay, it's not me. It's not just me. People need to stop saying that you're playing bad. No, the person you're playing with could also be shit too.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between recognizing, like, you can recognize if you're making that's a really good thing to do is recognize when your play is not so great, but that doesn't mean that you can't also recognize when someone else isn't playing good. You know, one of the biggest things that I've seen is if like I go back to base and I'm running back to tower and my AD carry has started a 1v2, she dies, and then question pings me, and I'm like, what do you want me to do from 50 feet away from tower?
That happened to me yesterday. I left as Jinx. She went to a 2v3 with my support and my jungle Lee Sin. They're like, oh, where's Jinx at? Oh, GG, ADC difference. I was in the base. What do you want me to do? I was walking back.
Yeah. It feels like sometimes no matter what you do, someone's going to have an issue with it. You know, if I'm trying to Q, like if say I'm on Lux and I'm trying to bind too much, I'm trying to throw out my Q and I'm missing them, you know, they won't ever consider that maybe the other players are just much better. They'll always say, well, why aren't you hitting your Qs? Well, that's because I'm still learning how to hit my Qs. I'm trying. And then if I'm hitting too many Qs, then they say, oh my God, why aren't you actually doing this when I'm able to engage?
Support God.
Well, are you?
They're like, they love you if you're ahead. They're like, oh, support God. Can't wait to have this Lux in my game all the time.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. It feels like no matter what you do, there's always going to be a criticism for it, regardless of whether or not it was a good or bad decision that you made.
Your jungler could have went like 0-10. You guys win the game. All bitter jungler wins. Oh, I love that. Jungler is clearly garbage, but he got carried by the team.
Yeah. It's really rough sometimes. I do love, though, there are some games where just everything kind of goes well. You know,
yeah,
I had a game where...
chill.
Yeah, I had a game where we... it was both teams. We were just in our all just memeing each other. Like we weren't even we were fighting and you know it was a really close game and we were very aggressive on both sides, but throughout the chat we were both just memeing, and that was probably the best time I ever had. I think one of the talks was like, if you could bang a League of Legends character, who would you bang? If they were in a specific skin, would that change it for you? You know, like if you wouldn't bang this League character, what if they were in this skin? Would that change it? Like
my girl Ari. If I had a choice,
dumbest thing.
Ari's my girl. Oh my God, Ari would do it for me. None of the girls would really do it for me in the game beside like Ari. I think she's the prettiest to me. But if I had Caitlyn, oh no, Caitlyn seems like she doesn't know what to do in bed. I'm being honest here.
Ash is my queen.
I love Ash. Ash was one of my favorite ADCs. It's just, her thing is that I think she's for an era of League that just isn't around anymore. Her thing is like, you know, isolated damage, you know, utility. I think she needs another like rework, because what she does is just not what League is about now.
Yeah, I started playing Ashe. My first character that I ever started playing was Jinx, and Jinx is really good. She's pretty easy, but if you don't understand how her Q works, you know that because you can switch back and forth between the rockets.
Yeah.
If you don't really know how to utilize that well, then Jinx is not really going to work. So I switched to Ashe. And I've played her ever since. I think she's a wonderful AD carry, and every time I get her an ARAM, I smoke kids. I just smoke them because I've played her so much, so I'm really used to her. And I ended up getting her Heartseeker skin.
Oh, that's my favorite.
In like a box or something like that, like in one of the chests, and it's a rare skin, and I was so excited. And it's probably like the only skin I actually play on her. Like I have a bunch of others, but I really only play the Heartseeker Ashe skin.
Yeah, I have that, the Heartseeker. It's the one where she's sitting on a heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. That's one I have. Oh, I love. Yeah, I might play Ashe after we get off. Well, actually, what's your League name? I'll just friend you.
Oh, I can type it out for you, or spell it out. It's KALERIYA.
KAL.
ER.
Okay.
IYA.
Okay.
And
okay.
I also have an EU. I also have an EU account. Funny thing is, I ended up playing with a bunch of people that I know from the EU, and on 145 ping, when I'm playing ARAMs, I'm actually still decent. I was like, maybe I just need to play in crappier ping to be a better player.
Do you actually like the EU players better?
That's kind of hard. I haven't played much Summoner's Rift on EU. I've mainly been playing ARAM, but I haven't seen as much toxicity, but I also haven't been playing Summoner's Rift, so that might be really hard to kind of quantify. But the players that I know that I've been playing with on EU are really nice. It's always a fun time. It's usually not anything. They're not really making a lot of pressure. They understand I'm on 130 ping, so they're really understanding about that. And I made a really bad like Sona play where I meant to hit my E, I hit my R, and it hit nobody on obviously because I didn't mean to do it. And someone was like, "We'll just say that's because you're 130 ping," and I was like, "You can do that. That's good."
But this has been fun actually. This was great.
Yeah, no, this has been a really fun conversation.
Gosh, oh my goodness, I didn't even know we actually were talking for an hour. But that's how usually podcasts go that long anyway. But
yeah, something like that.
To kind of sum things up, anything you want to say before we close out?
Just, thanks for having me on the podcast. I really am so excited that someone, saw what I did on Hotline League, which really wasn't much, and just kind of, want me to kind of, talk and have a good conversation about League. This is my first time doing something like this, so it's been really fun, and I really appreciate you asking me to come on.
Oh, my heart's gonna break. My little heart, it's gonna go in two. No, we have a league podcast group that I do every single Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on some people's time period to go in. So yeah, I can give you a link to that after we're done with this if you want to join that too. Yeah,
sure, please.
Because it's not even like that, people are always on there. It's just that I want to get a group of consistent people like the Dive has in Euphoria, because that's my initial goal for a League podcast. But I guess people have their lives, and getting things sorted out, it's always going to be a hassle. But yep, this has been great. Way of Life Esports is signing out, and also guys, I have an OnlyFans page for $6.99. I don't actually have that. I actually have an OnlyFans page. I actually really don't, because that would cost more money. But yeah, hopefully things get better. People just make level-headed decisions. Right now, the world's going through something pretty traumatic, but at the end of the day, it will all be over at some point. But don't price gouge. Please let the elderly people get stuff first. Like, come on, you're better than that. Let the elderly get their stuff first, and that's pretty much it. Anything else?
Wash your hands, stay at least 6 feet away from people, practice social distancing, let's flatten this curve, let's help each other out. This is a rough time, and we all need to help each other out, and go Cloud9.
Yeah, hashtag C9 win, because we're going to win a title. If we don't win a title this split after going 12-0 the first start, I'm actually just, I'll literally cry.
I'll be crying in the club, like, legit.
I just can't understand how we couldn't win a title at this point. But there might be that thing where, hey, some teams may play better from their own house, and that's a scary thing. What if, like, Golden Guardians is like the next best team, but if they play in their house, that's how we figured it out. It's like, hopefully not. If Cloud9 could knock out TL, please knock out TL.
Yeah, I think we do hear this kind of phenomenon about like scrim gods and people that do play better when it's more of a scrim atmosphere. So I guess we'll just kind of have to see what happens. But I'm excited for the games, and like I said, it should be pretty interesting.
Hashtag G2 win. We're gonna win Worlds this year. I hope. Oh my goodness! If I have to hear another person saying, "Oh my god, they got to World Finals and they lost 3-0," I was like, hear what you're saying. They got to World Finals and lost. Where was your team at? And it's like, right. It's like
still in groups.
Where's your team at? Sitting at home beating off on their computer? No, my team was in World Finals. Your team was nowhere to be seen. It's like, yeah, great joke, man. You really. Oh, I'm crying at World. It's like that dude with the meme of like, hey, I'm glad you're a sellout for going to different platforms, as he's crying in money.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. See you guys later. Peace. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Hi there, guys! Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.